Welcome back to Steve Robb Reviews. Today I'm going to do a review on these particular crimpers, and we're going to take a look and see whether, well, I haven't used them yet, but there's a lot of things involved in getting a wire rope crimping tool, a swaging tool. There's all kinds of different names for these, but this is them right here. Haven't used them yet, but you have to really think before you actually buy one of these and which kinds you should get. Now, I've never been using these before. I always use my hydraulic battery crimping tool and other small cable, eyelet crimpers, and I thought I'd buy one of these and try it out and see, because I've tried other different ways of crimping these wire cable crimping swaging kind of gizmos that you make loops in braided wire, and I showed a couple of different things that I've done around my place here. I'll put a link at the end here, them boxes at the end, and you can take a look and see what I used for a cable that I did a little while ago for hanging my bird feeders off of, and that was using 1/16. So today I'm just going to use the 1/8 cable, and I'm going to make a couple of crimps, one with this and one with my battery cable crimper, and we're going to see which one would be most suited for most do-it-yourselfers, and how does this stack up. So let's go over to the bench here. I got a little bit of a setup on here on all the different crimps and things that you should really know about before you're even considering buying any of these tools. So let's go over what I'm going to be using here today. So this is my hydraulic crimper, and you can see the different types of reasons why you would use this, and these are for putting on different electrical connections, mostly automotive, and it comes in a kit with all kinds of different attachments for the different size cable, and here's one of them right here that we're going to use today that mostly matches the crimp that I'm going to be using, which is the 1/8. And if we take a little look here, you could see it's not exact. There's a little bit of slack there, but yeah, that's the one we're going to use. I'm going to crimp up these two here. That's the 1/8 cable, the cable cutter. And the first thing I like to say about cable, when you're buying any cable, don't assume that because it says 1/8 cable that it's actually 1/8 or any other size. You have to actually know for sure the specifications, because I'll tell you something, it's like the Wild West out there when you're using this piece of equipment. Okay, so this one here I used for the 1/16 before. I demonstrated this before already, and it's using a number 4. And if I tried to go to a number 2, yeah, it's actually too loose. Now, this is a 3/16 drill bit, and this is a 5/16 drill bit that I use for demonstration purposes and trying to figure out what all this means. But let's first go to my phone here, and I went online to a local rigging company that offers all these particular types of aluminum swage sleeves, or they're also known as duplex sleeves. And you can see the little diagram there, and they're showing A, B, and C and what the dimensions should be. And what I've done is I've transferred all the data that from here over to here. So if we just take a look at this one here, you can see this is rated as a 1/16, and so is this one, a 1/16. But you can definitely tell there's a difference between them, right? So we got the length, width, and height. These are the dimensions that I recorded for this one, and these are the dimensions that it's supposed to be. And you can see there's a huge difference between what I measured and what it is supposed to be. First of all, these two are so different, it's just incredible. So that's what happens when you're ordering stuff online and you're looking at the price and you go, you know what, this says 1/16 braided cable. Well, actually this is for the 1/8, but in this particular situation this is a 1/16 sleeve, and it's not even close. Then we look at this one here. We got length, width, and height. And again, well, it's very different. And you can see where actually C here, which is the height, is actually taller than what the specs call for. So yeah, it's like the Wild West. So the specs call for, after it's crimped, it should be 0.187 or 3/16. So I use a 3/16 drill bit for measuring, and I'll show you the reason why. And then on this one, which is 1/8, well, take a look at the specs here, and you could see that it's not even close. Now, after it's crimped, it's supposed to have a diameter of well, you can see the spec right there, 312 or 5/16. So let's go to the drill bits now. You can see how they actually fit for here. Now let's go over to the tool itself. And if we take a look here, turn it around for you, we got 1/16, 3/32, 1/8, and 3/16. So generally I will only be using the 1/16 and the 1/8. So let's just take a look and see if the drill bit for the 1/16 fits, because that's what it's supposed to be after it's crimped, and the 1/8. So let's do that next. Okay, so the specifications call for, on the 16th here, using a 3/16 drill bit, and you're not even getting close. Like, that is not even close to going in there. This is actually way too small, and then the next one you can see is flopping around there. It's way too big. So now if we go to the 1/8, well, it's spot on. It's pretty good. You know, there's no problem. So what makes this particular one from Princess Auto, this design that I like? Now, of course, I don't believe Princess Auto actually sells, you know, these with the impression that they're manufacturing them, but what they're doing is they put their name on it. Right? There it is right there. Right? And that's the only one that they actually sell. But there's something very unique with this one that I haven't seen on other ones. And that's it right there. There's 2 set screws in there that you can adjust. And if you take a look here, you can see this plate. So you can adjust the closing and the opening amount. And that's where you can make your adjustment right here if you're doing a lot of 1/16. So I did try the small 1/16 one. It fits in there when the jaws are fully open, but the other one would not. So you'd have to use this crimping one here first and then go down to this one here after. But you'd have to set this to the proper 3/16. If the crimping swage you're using is actually within specs. And that's the problem that I found. I found that these units here, this is supposed to be both, you know, like rated for 1/16, and they're like all over the map when you're looking online to buy these. So you pretty much should stick with one supplier and then adjust your tool to the one supplier, because you can obviously see there's a huge difference there. So let's go on to the hydraulic one first, and I'll do a crimp in that and show you what it looks like, and then we'll come back to this one and we'll crimp the 1/8, and you decide which one you think is best. But first of all, yeah, hats off to Princess Auto for supplying one that has some adjustability, because, you know, when I looked at this overall, like, there's nothing cheesy on this. It's all cast, heavy duty stuff. I mean, for the price, I thought it was very good. But let's make a crimp first on the hydraulic one. You can see the difference between that and how this is going to go, because I'm going to be interested myself to see how hard it is to crimp a 1/8, because the 1/16, nah, they're so easy, they just crimp like butter. But today we're going to concentrate on the 1/8 and see how good of a crimp it does. Okay, so I got it set up in the hydraulic crimper, and you could see how it's positioned. Now, the thing about a lot of times with these crimps is they have recommended specifications on how many crimps for the specified crimp itself. So like on a 1/8 they specify in many situations 3 crimps because, well, you got to get the right length as well. So and of course the jaws on here are quite larger. So what I do is I have it set up in here so it's right flush. You can see where it's right flush on the end there, right? And so I could get 2 crimps out of this, and that's it. Now a lot of places specify 3, but you know what? I don't use this for lifting. I don't use it for anything structural. I'm not using it, you know, where somebody's life is in danger. So I've been very successful using this style right here, and I think for me, there's nothing really wrong in the design or the use. All I have to do is just tighten the knob and move the handle up and down, and it makes what I think is a good crimp. I'm going to make 2 crimps on this, and we'll take a look. Okay, so let's do the first one. I just lock on the knob there and then start the crimp, and I'm just moving this handle up and down, and it's so easy to move. There's absolutely no problem. And when I come to when I really feel the tension, like right there, I stop. And I can just open it up, bring it out, and then I'll just show you here. I know my hand's in the way here, but I'll show you where it's placed before I actually start really tightening it down. And that's it about right there. So it's right flush with the jaws on this side. And then again, I'm just crimping it like this. And you could see how it's actually going all the way around the wire. And then when I get to the end, there it is right there, locked in solid. So let's do the other one next with the hand crimping tool, and we'll look at the differences. Okay, so let's just take a look at the tool here, and you can see you just place your little crimp in there, and you make it, well, as flush as you can to the end. And you can see on this one we may get 3 crimps out of it, but I'm only going to do 2. And I'll do 1 here, which is a little bit, well, a little bit proud of flush. And we'll crimp this one here, and I'll let you see exactly how hard it is to pull down on these handles to crimp this. Okay, you ready? So this is it right here, and I got you in the shot there. And yeah, this is not hard. There, that's it. So I'll open it up again, and I'll set it for the next crimp, and then I'll come back. Okay, so this time I'll show you the crimp from the back side, and it's actually quite easy to do. Now let's compare both of them and see which one you think did a better job. Well, here we go. Here's the 2 units here. This one here is the one that was with the hydraulic crimper, and you could see how that did the 2 crimps all the way around. And then this one here, which I would say could have been a little bit tighter compared to this one. Because this one here, you could see how it's much more compacted. This one here, there is a little bit of gap in here, but I mean nothing to really worry about. And yeah, this is the one that is for the hand crimper, and I just did 2 crimps. I mean, it looks absolutely fine to me. Now here's the back side of it, and you could see how that looks where the wire exits. And on the hydraulic one, you could see how this one here, where the wire exits. And I'm saying, can you see any difference? Because I can see the hydraulic one here seems to make a more uniform and hard crimp that's more compressed than this one. Now, you could adjust this with the jaws, I imagine, a little bit more. Or would this show a different crimp with a crimp aluminum sleeve that is actually supposed to be the right specifications? So let's get into that next. So which one would you choose? Now I think this is a pretty good tool. I like the adjustability here with the 2 set screws. You can adjust the jaws, But I tell you, there's a lot of fiddling around with this, you know, to get it, you know, set in there. And, you know, it's a lot more fiddling than over on the hydraulic, where I can just leave it in the vise, put the little crimper in there and feed the wire in and just crank on the handle and it's done. This here, there's a little more to it, but of course this is half the price, right? And I mean, it depends on how many of these crimps you're actually doing, you know, as a do-it-yourselfer. But I could see where, you know, this could come in handy with bigger ones, and you know, in locations that might not be so great for the hydraulic one. But you know, overall, nah, I'm thinking the hydraulic. I like the hydraulic better still. I think I'll, you know, stick with the hydraulic. But for speed, I could see if you're doing a lot of crimps, man, you could crimp like a lot, like real fast, compared to over on the bench here with the hydraulic crimper. It's all personal choice. I think they do both a good job, but you know, you could definitely see a difference between how tight the crimp is on the hydraulic compared to the crimp on the manual one. And yeah, you'd have to do a little more adjusting. Plus, all these different aluminum crimps, and you can get copper as well, but I mean, they're all over the map on their specifications. There's no standards apparently to any of these things. So that's why at least this one here has got the adjustability that you can correct for that and stick with one particular size, right? Because these are not expensive. You get like 100 for $20. So I mean, it's not like, you know, as a do-it-yourselfer, you're using a lot of these all the time. So thanks for joining me here today, and you know, looking at the difference between this Princess Auto cable crimper and the hydraulic one. In my view, you know, like I paid $45 for this and about $90 for that. Now, of course, that was a couple of years ago, maybe 10 years ago, so maybe these are $125 now or more. I'd go with the hydraulic myself over this. This is okay if you're just doing a couple of crimps here now and then, and you know, but save yourself some money. But for me, I'll stick with the hydraulic. So thanks for joining me here today. Come back again. If you've ever seen this channel before, you're welcome to subscribe. Check out the videos at the end here that are going to show the results of me using this and attaching a guide wire outside from my garage to my shed and hanging a bird feeder on. Cheers.